back in live. Yay.
It's another
Hey,
episode
welcome
of
everybody.
Let's Talk.
Hi,
Welcome
Andreas.
everybody. Hey Sven.
I
How you
see you
doing?
made it to the office actually. You're such a brave employee of SAP.
Yes, I keep the promise, and this is more or less live from SAP Labs Munich.
Yeah,
So I
perfect.
made it here. I'm in office indeed.
I will make it to the office later on, but for this early recording, actually, it was just a bit too much for me, to be honest with you. So
This
I
is
enjoy
maybe
my cup of coffee.
your coffee at home. This is maybe an interesting fact for our audience. So while you're in your home office and I'm in office, we're actually recording this on October 2nd, and we're going to broadcast on October 10th. So that means this is in the middle of Oktoberfest, right, Sven?
Exactly. So how was Oktoberfest for you so far?
I told everybody that I had meetings with. It's I like it. I semi like Oktoberfest. It's nice. I like to go there, but it has such a gravity, and it ends up being stressy all the time. There are so many appointments and invites, and you need to manage. And we're going to miss each other in office, cause by the time you arrive, I'll leave already to meet a partner. So
yeah, and that's not
all
at the
that is difficult.
Oktoberfest, or is it at the Oktoberfest?
Oktoberfest is
Okay.
the occasion. It's so difficult to charter. Everybody wants to come here, everybody wants to meet up, and it's so difficult to manage expectations and invitations.
I also had a couple of meetings at the Oktoberfest so far. Lots of crypto people that I met, actually, the Munich crypto community. But so far, I also kept my promise with 0% alcohol. And I must say, I enjoyed that a lot, actually. It's quite awesome to actually see everybody else going down the drain, basically. And just yourself and a few others actually staying up above the level. So
that zero alcohol thing that really picks up. I've seen a lot more are offering alcohol free. I guess it's still a beer fest after all, but there is some small change. At least I feel
it's no longer a problem to actually order alcohol free. I mean, just a few years ago that was very different, but nowadays it's really easy. Possible. Hey, we're talking too much actually, but this is our precious time that we can talk about robotics today.
Yeah,
right? So.
the important part, robotics actually. A couple of things happened, and we have a quite steady pipeline. It's the first time we managed to get a series for everybody paying attention. We're going to talk about robotics for the next at least 2 months, I guess. How did that get started? How did we get into that, Sven?
I know. I think it happened a bit naturally, right? But we kept on exploring more robotics, and there seemed to be a lot of interesting startups, but also established companies around Munich. So I guess with our network at SAP, we were really able to get in touch with a lot of these companies.
There is one thing I had definitely in mind when we planned all of this out, or when we started planning this out. My perception, my media bubble had a bit of a hype about a local car manufacturer deploying humanoid autonomous robots in their manufacturing plant in the US, and that made the news like quarter ago, June, July, August, something like that. That I guess like just before the summer break, we talked about autonomous humanoid robots a lot, and that, at least for me, was a big thing when we started planning this out. But maybe we start with something entirely different to help us get a few of the terms right, I guess.
So today we're really going to focus on robotics in health, and we have an excellent guest here. We have Alona from Devanthro'r here. I think we should just bring her on, and she can maybe explain a bit what she's doing, who she is. I will just bring her on now. So welcome, Alona. How are you?
Hi, great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Perfect.
Great to have
Alona, can you tell us a bit what you do at Devanthro'r, right? I dropped the name already, and how it all started, maybe also, and what's your passion about, basically.
Well, I'm co-founder and CTO in Devanthro'r, and our mission is to enable people age in dignity in their own home and in the caring company. And I'm the co-founder and CTO by calling, and by training I'm a robotics engineer. And basically the last 9 years of my life I have dedicated on building humanoid robots, developing them, and ultimately making them useful for the wider ranges of people.
Wow. So I'm really thrilled, to be honest with you. Because Andreas, right, we discussed this many times, and also in the pre-chat, Alona. So when I hear robotics, I typically think of orange robots in a production line, right? And they go like super fast and assemble some oily parts or something like that. But this is really about health, about let's say about touching people, about elderly people, about care, basically, right? And stuff like that. So it's that's a very unexpected field of robotics, to be honest with you, right? And so I'm really thrilled to have you on and discuss that, actually. So what do you think, how far are we actually off from real autonomous humanoid robotics? Because that's what you're dealing with, right?
So our company is having a very smart way to get there very quickly. But I think the autonomous robots living with us together, autonomous humanoid robots living with us in our homes together and performing different tasks are a random guess a decade ago, maybe plus minus 5 years, but definitely years away.
Okay, so we're gonna I mean, because there are a lot of pictures in the media, right? Of sometimes you see like extremely polished robots actually performing whatever tasks. So that's actually, then I guess it's still a lot of marketing. So we will come to some pictures in a moment, actually, right? So
yeah, we get to a few pictures, but let's stay there for a minute. That example that I that I just mentioned a minute ago. There's this humanoid robot that this car manufacturer deployed. That's, from your perspective, much more of a hype right now, is it?
Well, we can call the name of the company, I guess, is Figure AI. It's a very impressive robot. So the hardware is fascinating, but what we're seeing is demos. So you are seeing the robot making a coffee in a perfectly lit environment, at the table on the perfect height for the robot, and there's no other objects around it. And it's only this coffee maker that we have seen being successful. So while the company is very impressive and making big strides towards making this reality in our homes, it is not there. And I think we are very far from it.
That's a much different setting than for care that you are in with Devanthro'r. Like, let's go let's explore the approach that you're taking, how you're building your robots.
Let's talk about Robo first, actually, because I think that's the very first robot that Devanthro'r built is Robo, right? That's how it all started, I believe.
Yes, so we have a long history of building autonomous robots, autonomous humanoid robots, and we actually started in musculoskeletal robotics, which means redesigning, rebuilding the human body. So our robots, they had muscles, they had tendons, so they emulated the musculoskeletal system of the human body. And this is, you can see actually Robo Junior is the very first one that was built in the AI lab by Professor Pfeiffer. And after that, my co-founder Raphael has adopted Robo Junior and brought it to Munich, where we actually met at the Technical University of Munich. And after that, we built 2 generations of tendon-driven robots, so Robo 2.0 and 3.0. We did various things with them, like serving ice cream, riding the rickshaw, all kinds of use cases. And in the dark times of 2018, we still use GPT-2 to run on our robots, and that was fascinating. So it was a big deal. We got the developer access, and everybody was just mind blown back then by the capabilities of GPT-2. But we pivoted at some point. So it took us about 6 months to develop a certain autonomous skill of the robot. For example, scooping ice cream. So the robot was selling ice cream on a rickshaw. And because it is such a complicated hardware, software, highly integrated system, it worked. But then once you change the one setting, like light, if you bring the robot outside to the daylight, it would not recognize the ice cream. So back then, the models were not scalable to adjust to the settings, and we pivoted towards teleoperation. So what we basically developed is the way to remotely control the robot with your own body. And this is the point where Robo became Robody, which is a robotic body. So you basically are inside of the robot, well, figuratively speaking. So you're wearing VR glasses, and then you can remotely control the robot with your own body. You can see that the face of the person controlling the body is displayed on the head. So this is my co-founder, Raphael, that you see. And the idea is to create this feeling of somebody wearing a suit and being present with you in the room.
Very cool, very cool.
And this focus on health, so this is where you really started out, and to meet that case, you came up with, let's say, a robotic avatar, or did that happen the other way around, that you just built that avatar and figured that's best suited to help people? Like, how did you get there, really?
So the thinking was, if we want to be useful for people in homes, what are the use cases we can do? And beyond the use cases, you need to build a sustainable business model to deploy this to masses. And the care is the only place where people spend thousands of euro per month where it's needed. And especially the problem is so massive. So in Germany today, we're lacking 150,000 caregivers. So it is both the market size and the application side that has led us to decide to go into the home care.
And that brings up the topic of the difference between healthcare and care. So you just mentioned you are in care, but not healthcare, I guess, right? So what is the difference for you?
Well, healthcare is about hospital care, or for example, different medical devices that can maybe, robots that help to operate your eye surgery robot, that would fall under healthcare. And when we are talking about care, it's really making sure people can live independently longer and continue living. So, and for us specifically, this home care. So those people who want to become old in their own home. So don't go to the care home, which is the stationary care facilities that we all know.
So that means basically really placing a robot into the home of an elderly person, for example, right? And the robot is then sometimes, I guess, controlled by another person in a totally different location, and, for example, has a chat with that person. So what else is actually, in terms of use cases, what's possible actually with such a robot in a home?
Exactly. So we imagine the world where elderly people, they have robots in their homes. And then there's a kind of a call center, a centrale, where the caregivers are located and help the elderly through the robot. But also you as a relative, for example, you can visit your great parents through the VR glasses because she has a robot at home. For the use cases, so basically we are looking at the ICP, so ideal customer persona is currently a person with the beginning dementia who is still physically fit, but they cannot independently live longer at home anymore. So this is the point where the relatives say, okay, no, you have to go to the care home or you need to get a 24/7 caregiver. And this is where we come in, we say, hey, but you can get a robot. And Robody is capable of manipulating objects that are below 1.5 kilograms. So we're not talking about people who are in the bed. We're talking about people who are still physically fit. They can do everything on their own, but they need cognitive support, guidance, structuring of the day through the robot, throughout the robot. And we have, of course, on top of that, on top of the communication, you also need manipulation capabilities, because if something happens in the bathroom, you still need to be able to go to the bathroom, open the door, and check if everything is okay. And having a tablet on the table also doesn't work, because the person needs to understand how to use the tablet and what button to click. And with Robody, the communication is just like with another person, so it's very natural. And our early test with the people with dementia also showed that their model of using the Robody is like a human. So all of them were able to communicate the answer pretty naturally.
I believe when we did prepare this interview, you mentioned you have a video that shows these capabilities. Maybe this is a good time to look into that.
Absolutely. Let's bring it on stage. And I think it's about a recent pilot phase, I believe, right? And maybe we can discuss that actually also while watching the video. So let's
definitely
bring it on.
I mean, on the video, what you can see is Robody looking for a tempo and opening the drawer and giving it. So this robot was deployed within half an hour into her home. So we didn't scan any environment. Now Robody is setting the table. So he got the cheese out and the bread. And this is a full activity, not just part of it. So he fully set the table. And here you can see that Robody is working with textiles, which is an absolute nightmare for autonomous robots, because it's very difficult to grasp and predict how the textile is working. And this is, today we have spent 23 days in people's homes, living with Robody together and understanding what are the requirements, validating, and it's massive learnings come from this piloting phase, and the videos we showed is part of the pilots.
Yeah.
So you mentioned pilot
video
phases.
Is amazing.
Yeah, I think so. The same, by the way. So I just wanted to mention you mentioned pilot phases, right? And I think it's not been the first, right? So you said also 23 people already had a Robody at home. So that's massive. So can we talk a bit about what you now learned out of this, right? So what did you learn, and what were also maybe some of the funniest failures, and how did you fix and improve on that actually? So
just a remark. So it was 5 people who lived with Robody, and in total it was 23 days that we lived together. And the big learning is doing anything autonomously in these homes is very far away. So with teleoperation, it is very challenging. But all of these houses are so narrow. If you think how to open the fridge, in every house we've been, it's a different system to open the fridge. It's a different system to open the drawer. So with the human cognition, of course, it's very easy, but we haven't seen models that scale. And to be able to build the models that do this autonomously, we need various data. And this is the smart way I was mentioning before, that Robody is now teleoperated, but of course we are collecting this data to eventually automate parts of the processes later on. But let's talk about the learnings. I think what is very interesting is the collaboration between elderlies and Robody. And this means for us that Robody does not need to do the task perfectly at 100%. So in industry, if you're at the BMW plant and your robot has a 90% success rate, this is not acceptable. But for us, it's okay, because actually they like to spend time. The elderlies, they help the robot if it cannot open the drawer, they help it, and it is also sort of a prevention and cognitive and physical activation for the elderly. So it's serving as a benefit. And what was also very interesting is how important the face is. So a lot of people of our generation, they say, oh, well, this is very uncanny, it's so creepy, the face is not real, I cannot see it. But for our users, it's a massive difference. They love it. Everybody mentioned the face and how important that they see the operator, they see their emotions, etc. And they all built personal connections. So they spoke to our caregivers for hours. You know, they shared their life stories. They said how was it when the World War II was happening and what they were doing and how's the family, etc. And next day, our operator could remember all of this and continue the conversation, and that was extremely important to get this acceptance rate.
When an elderly person is talking to Robody, does it mean they always talk to someone over telepresence, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like they're talking to a ChatGPT system or so, and it's a real person. Okay.
Yep.
And also the face is the projection of a real face. It's not just something computer generated. It's really the video from the operator. So it's also part of the telepresence. It's a bidirectional telepresence.
Yeah, at this point, it's a 3D avatar. So basically, we have a 3D designer and artist that generates your face. So we make a 3D scan of my face, and then he sculpts it by hand. So it is an artificial avatar at this point, but it is articulated in real time. So the VR glasses, they have inner-facing cameras, and they record your muscle motions, so 62 muscle motions, and this is then in real time represented on your avatar. But we are working on a solution to have photorealistic streams, like Andreas, you said.
Okay, nice. I can imagine that's well received.
That's amazing, really. So you talked a bit about how far this is away from the market already, right? I think we're at the very beginning, but what do you think, how fast can this be developed, and when could it potentially be used in elderly homes and installed in a proper monetized way, right? So
well, our plan is next year to run 1 month long pilot. So, and offer Robody Cares as a product, which is a service you can buy in 2027. So with our approach, we think we can move very quickly. If we're talking about autonomous robots, that's another topic. And to tackle the entry to the market, there are two sides of it. One is building good hardware. So you need reliable hardware that can perform your requirements, but also software, so AI models. And I think we need to tackle hardware. And there we can see how Chinese companies are moving very quickly and at an unbeatable price right now, building very good, capable humanoid robots. And the software is a function of the data that we are getting.
So that's the technology side of this market. How far is Devanthro'r with its offering from the market, do you think?
I think 2-3 years away from the offering to the as a product.
Okay, very that's nice. Pretty amazing.
And so, and the way this is gonna work probably is, I mean, there will be an ecosystem of, let's say, insurance companies, Devanthro'r, and the person that needs help, maybe the people around that person that will probably pay some of the money, and it will probably come as a subscription or something like that, right? So you'll basically get a Robody for the months that you need it, basically, right? And then it can be returned to the factory, I guess, and someone else can use it in the end. Yeah, so
exactly, it's a subscription you pay. We're thinking right now at the price of the 24 caregiver, which is 3K per month. So it's a reality in Germany, is 3K per month. And then you get it as a service from us. In the service included the real person, the teleoperator. So the real person will still be coming to you because, for example, showering or bandage or skin care is just not realistic to do in the next 5 years through robots. That's why we are working together with ambulatory care providers. So these are the people who are driving 3, 4, 5 times per day to the same person. So with us, they will drive in the morning, help with larger tasks, and then giving pills or reminding to drink or checking the blood sugar. This can all be done through Robody. So we are helping them to save time, for the caregivers to save time on their care-related activities. And for the person in need of care, you have like 24/7 somebody to talk to, or in case of emergency, also get help.
So it's like multiplexing the caregiver between, like you're optimizing the driving time, so to put it very bluntly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're dropping the driving time, and then the Telecare Giver can look after 7 robots. So this needs to be tested. Our assumption is now 7, and of course they have AI copilots. So the Telecare Giver is not listening to an audio stream 24 hours to understand if they're needed. There is a wake-up word detection. Then there is a fall detection integrated in the robot that triggers an alarm in case the person is falling. So within seconds, somebody can go and see what's happening.
Okay, wow. That's amazing. I can just kind of grasp all the complexity that's actually behind such a system, but it's really, really fascinating, I think. So who knows, Andreas, when we retire, who's gonna take care of us actually, right? So
we're probably
by that
time thinking about it.
By that time, for sure. I mean, it's quite some time in the future.
Maybe let's end on that note, and by that time, like how are the next 5, 10, 15 years going to look like? Why do we have this hype right now, and how is that going to play out from the Devanthro'r perspective, to get on that perspective to end our interview with?
I mean, to end, it's not a very positive note, but we have a big problem in Germany with care. We're in the middle of the care crisis. A lot has been talked about, but very few solutions are being built. And we think that with robotics, we can make the situation better. And teleoperation is the way forward. And I think given the response from the end users and from the market, it's a good way.
Okay, perfect. So I think it's a call to action to everybody out there to actually invest some money into health and robots, basically, right? And be brave and take some risk probably also, and just try it out, I guess. Perfect. Alona, thank you so much. I think we're at the end of this beautiful interview. That was amazing. Hope to see you soon in Munich and around our beautiful office in Garching. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to you soon. Thank you for being here.